Hey, this is Dr. Corey Glenn with Blue Sky Bio. I'm going to show in this video a really cool technique that I've been working out with Dr. Danny Doming on being able to deliver a custom abutment and the final crown at the day of surgery. So you actually have this created and ready to deliver before you ever even do the surgery. Now, one of the biggest things that you'll have to do in order for this to work out well is that you're going to have to do it with fully guided surgery. There's guided surgery, which is just creation of the osteotomy, but then there's fully guided surgery, which is the use of a fully guided kit that makes your osteotomy and the delivery of the implant go through the surgical guide. And that's critical because when we're going to do this, it's absolutely a necessity that you put the implant in the exact same position in the mouth as what you've planned virtually. And so in this case, what we've done is merge the STL as you normally would. The implant has been planned. We've chosen the fully guided surgical kit, the Blue Sky Bio fully guided surgical kit, and we're going to do fully guided surgery on this BioMax implant. So design the surgical guide in the conventional way. This video is not really about how to do guided surgery so much as how to make the prosthetics. So we have our fully guided surgery stent, and we've got to make sure that the implant ends up in this exact position. So use of the fully guided kit will accomplish that. Now, what we've got to be able to do from there is design the prosthetics, and we'd like to do this digitally. And so what I'm going to do is, right now you can see I've just got a custom abutment on there that's like 20 millimeters long, 3 millimeters wide. That's purely for purposes of visualizing where that implant emerges between the teeth. But in this circumstance, once we've done that, I want to come back, right-click this, replace abutment, and rather I'm going to come up here instead of custom to select abutment. Now, if you're using Blue Sky implants, you've got the complete library of potential abutments that Blue Sky offers. And what I'm going to do is instead put on a DES scan body. Okay, so you can see that scan body over here. And I'll say OK. Now, we could export this now, and essentially we have a virtual working model, one that we could pull into Exocad or whatever design software and treat this as if it were like an intraoral scan with a physical scan body on it. Now, one thing that's very critical is, again, the implant has to end up in the exact same position, but it also has to have the exact same timing. And so the way that we control that, you might put this implant in the exact same trajectory and depth, but the timing be off 10 degrees from in the mouth to what you designed it on, and then nothing fits. So the way that we verify this is to say rotate around the longitudinal axis of the implant. Now when you do that, it takes away all the ability to move the implant, and now the only thing that you can change is the timing of the implant, okay, or the degree of rotation of that implant. So what we're going to do, the way we've been verifying that this ends up in the exact right position is by rotating this till it's perfectly to the buccal, and you want to make sure that that's as exact as possible. Now the plan would be, do your guided surgery, put it into this position, but now take the guide off, take your implant carrier off, and take a physical scan body. So you would have one of these physical DES scan bodies standing by, stick it on your implant, and let's say that it's rotated 5 degrees from right here. You would want to rotate that 5, 10, 20 degrees until that flat spot on the DES scan body lines up perfectly to the buccal. Okay, so now we've got that. Let's go now and export this. So export data, and I want to export the STL model with that virtual abutment. So I'll export that. I've actually already done it, so I'll skip. You would also want to come back and export a second model. Export data, this time turn the scan body off. If you're going to design in Exocad, then you really need to have one model with no scan body and another model with the scan body. That's unique to the Exocad workflow. So I've already got those, and now I'm going to go to Exocad. I've got a patient name. This is going to be tooth number 5, and now we're ready to design the custom abutment and crown. Now, I'm not doing this with an opposing occlusion right now. Generally, if you had the opposing, that would be more ideal to do that. So let's now design. So the first thing that Exocad is going to ask for is just the regular jaw scan. Now this would be the jaw that does not have the scan body on it. And so demo with no scan body is what I've named this. And now it asks for the one with the scan body. So once again, come down here, demo with scan body is what I named that one. Okay, so if you look at the models that I've got available right here, there is an STL that has no scan body, and then there's the one that we exported the virtual scan body on. Okay, so we're treating this as if it was a physical model that had an intraoral scan done. So I'm going to set the insertion direction of my custom abutment. Next, and now we need to designate what the implant is we're working with. I'll go down to Blue Sky Bio, Max NP, which is what this is. And we could do this on a custom abutment. We could do this on a non-engaging tie base. Let's say if you didn't want to have to worry about controlling the timing, that way you could spin it around and hold it by hand and lock it into that position. Tie base abutments, no, what we're going to do is a pre-mill blank. Okay, so, and now this will come up and it advises me to click on the scan body, basically on the flat portion of the head. So I do that. And then I push best fit matching and it will stitch this up ideally. And now we're ready to go to next and begin designing. So the first thing that it wants us to do is to design the emergence profile for this abutment. Now when I design custom abutments, I find that I like the results a whole lot more when I actually have something that is the shape of an actual tooth. I always hate restorations that look like they're designed on just a cylindrical trash can shaped healing abutment. If I'm going to the trouble of making a custom abutment, I want it to pretty much look like what that tooth would have looked like if it had been prepped. Okay, so generally that means it's going to be more rectangular in shape. And you can get much more anti-rotational features out of it. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we can click next. exocad is identifying the mesial and distal tooth. You can see the Blue Sky Bio pre-mill blanks that are up here, and we'll talk a little bit more in a moment about how to mill this. For right now, I'm going to turn that off. So exocad has virtually positioned a tooth, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over design in this. That's not really what this video is about. So I'll just click next. Now we can begin designing the shape of this tooth a little bit more. So if we need to make any changes to the overall structure, angulation of the tooth, maybe I want to rotate that a little bit more, perhaps move it slightly down to match the central groove. We can do all of those things. And then next, and now you can do some more fine-tuning of the emergence profile of this. I'm simply going to click next and go with what it suggests here. All right, so now we have the initial proposal of this tooth. I am going to expand out some of the bottom of this where it's going a little skinnier than what the emergence profile I designed was. So I want to use the freeform tool, expand that a bit. Now you might be thinking, well, I don't have exocad right now. Okay, so within another couple of months of the date of this video, Blue Sky is actually going to have a free CAD program where you'll be able to do all of these same things, design your own custom abutments, crowns, all of those. So just be patient. That is coming very soon. So now I'm going to smooth this out, a little bit fat right there. All right, now we can adapt the proximal contacts. So contacts have been dialed in. Again, usually you would have an opposing model. You would dial in your occlusion here. So let's look at this. If this had been a tie base crown, unless you used an angled tie base and an angled screwdriver, then your screw emergence hole is going to be coming up through this, which is not the most aesthetic thing in the world. It's partly why we're going to do a pre-milled titanium custom abutment here. So this is ready to go. When we click next now, it's going to begin designing the insertion axis. So the insertion axis of my custom abutment, I actually want to go into the ideal position of a tooth. So about 10 degrees off of what the actual implant position is. So I click next, and that sets the trajectory of the vertical portion of my custom abutment. You could now go in and dial this in a little bit more. Let's bring this down some. If you're going to design this as a custom abutment, which you deliver at the day of surgery, then you probably don't want that thing standing up too tall, because you might even opt to not load it, but perhaps just put something like a cover cap over this, or maybe you mill the crown in PMMA, but you grind half the occlusion off and essentially use this as a large custom healing abutment. So that looks good. Click next, and now the software is going to allow you to modify this custom abutment some if you would like. I like it the way it is. So the custom abutment design is now complete. This is what it looks like. And if you wanted to now go and do the superstructure, we could finish this out by designing the superstructure. Next. And it pretty much is going to just take you through finalizing the crown that you designed a moment ago. So here we have it. We're done. This is the custom abutment and the crown for this case. And again, you would spend a little more time dialing in your occlusion and contacts and contours, but for demonstration purposes, this is great. So I'm going to save that, save to file, and we'll save it on the desktop as that. And the custom abutment, same thing. Now, how do you go from having these digital files of the restoration to actually creating the restoration? And the answer is that one of two things. You can purchase a mill that is capable of doing these. So Blue Sky Bio does sell the TrueMill X250. That is something we distribute through 3D BioCAD. And so if you go to our website and look on Shop Online and then Milling right here in the left-hand side, you'll see all of our materials. We have Blue Sky branded zirconia, blocks, PMMA, but here's the TrueMill X250. And this is a kind of do-it-all mill. As you can see, the price on this is $38,500, which is an exceptional deal for what all this mill can do. It will do, it's a 5-axis mill, so it is capable of doing full arch restorations. It mills pucks, it will mill blocks. One thing that this mill will do, which is uncommon for a mill at this price point, is that it will mill titanium pre-mill abutments. So what do I mean when I'm talking about that? If you go over here on the website to custom abutment blanks, these are the titanium blanks. So all of the Blue Sky Bio abutments, or I'm sorry, implants, we have pre-mill titanium blanks for each of those implants. So in the case that I've been demonstrating, I could go over here, purchase the Biomax narrow platform pre-mill blank, and that is $30, so it's extremely affordable to mill, and then just mill that file out in this TrueMill X250. The tooling is amazing how long it lasts. You know, Danny actually has this mill. We've been working through this workflow, and he probably should have changed burrs by now, but he's getting a ton of mills of these custom abutments with this mill. So an exceptional price. This opens up the door for you to be able to mill your own full arch zirconia hybrids, PMMA temps, as well as all of your individual crowns. This really does it all. Wet, dry, 5-axis. It's a really great deal. Now, suppose that you don't want to do this. If you've got the mill, great. You can mill out your own custom abutment for about $30, maybe a zirconia crown from a disc for another $5. But if you don't have that, you might opt to go the other route, which is let's go to the Biomax and the narrow platform and prosthetics. And with all the Blue Sky implants, we've got the option to have custom abutments made. Okay, so you can see the pricing here. If you simply were to mail in a conventional PVS impression and an opposing, then one of our partner labs will mill this thing for $185. That's them designing it and everything. However, for sake of this demonstration, you've done the design. You can purchase the blank and send it in, and if you do that, then you'd be looking at option A. send in the blanks, send in the file, and they're just doing the milling. So now you can get a custom abutment for $75. And you would simply come down here to one of our partner labs, America Smiles, Burbank, for example. Let's go into Burbank's website, and you'll find the portal where you get that negotiated pricing. So it's a much better deal on the custom abutment, and they're capable of milling that file from our custom abutment blanks, which are going to be significantly better than if you were to just use some other kind of aftermarket part. So a really great deal. A really big step forward, I think, in being able to simply have a much more efficient workflow. You know, being able to do your surgical guide ahead of time to know where that implant's going to end up, and have a custom abutment and the crown ready and waiting to put on right after you do the implant placement. That's a phenomenal level of service, and it drastically expedites this whole process of taking them from no implant all the way through the final restoration. So I hope you find this useful and would love to see some cases from you.